Just as an overall note, which I'm sure is something you're all well aware of if you are documentary makers, that one-off documentaries are very difficult. They're not impossible, they're not something really sexy, but by and large the networks, including the ABC and SBS, are really mainly looking for series. And you know, I would have thought there could be many possibilities up here for half-hour series, you know, particularly in the kind of wildlife meets you know, human-animal interaction type of things. All of those sort of things are very popular all around the world. So they would also sell really well internationally with all the new developments and cameras and what have you. You can make them at a very reasonable price. So I'd be, you know, if that's your bag, I'd be starting to have a look at what could I come up with that would be 6 half hours that might fit into that slot on a Wednesday on the ABC. Wednesday nights has traditionally been a really big night for the ABC. It's, you know, for the last quite a long while it's had Specs and Specs, which has been very successful, and the other networks pretty much haven't had things on a Wednesday that compete with that. So since Specs and Specs disappeared out of the ABC on Wednesday nights, it's been quite difficult for them to get the sort of numbers that they're used to on a Wednesday night. So they're very much looking for things to work in a comedy vein on a Wednesday night. All of the networks have websites with a lot of information on, and SBS and ABC in particular have lots and lots of very specific information for program makers. They literally set out, we will buy, you know, 3 6 half-hour series for this slot on a Tuesday, and we'll buy, you know, and their approach to one-offs and their approach to feature documentaries and their approach to drama, it's all, you know, laid out there in really a lot of detail. So there's an enormous distance that you can go without even having to pick up the phone and ask anybody. So, you know, I mean, one of the most successful shows for an independent Australian production company is Bondi Rescue. Just brilliant, sold all over the world. It's set up Cordell Jigsaw in a way that's enabled them to really establish as a company. You know, we dream of making something like that, because
semi-naked men on the beach.
Semi-naked men on the beach, yeah. Life and death, all sorts of little, you know, soapy.
So I couldn't get beyond the semi-naked. Oh, it's dramatic as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's dramatic. So I guess my point is, have a really good look at the schedule, what it's doing, where it is, look at the resources that are there on the net for how they approach what they buy, what they show. Read all that you can in the press about what's the fortunes of the network. I mean, every day our managing director sends everybody in the company a little paragraph about what happened last night, you know, because that's what we've got to concentrate on, you know, that these things were a success, these things were not a success. This, you know, got huge numbers last week and hardly any this week, and why was that? It was the Queen's Jubilee, or it was a hot day, or, you know, what are the factors that are going on? And that's part of what goes into our thinking. So obviously the digital networks are also something that you should be having a look at, particularly ABC2, and ABC2 and SBS are, you know, great for getting your first show away, because they're open, they're out there, they're looking for ideas. So ABC2 doesn't have the kind of budget for drama, but it's very interested in comedy, it's very interested in op docs, it's very interested in things that they say that are big and noisy. So, you know, they've just done a new series about, which I've only heard about, so I've got a sketchy understanding of it, but it's to do with the racism against the Indian students in Melbourne, and trying, you know, testing out whether Australians really are racist or not. And, you know, so they're out there for ideas that are noisy.